Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Sarah, and in this video I'm going to show you how to put together the fire truck activity page and the forest as well that goes along with it. The template is totally free. All you need is your felt and your hot glue. No sewing is required, so if you think your little one would enjoy this activity in their busy book, make sure you check out this video. Also, make sure you have subscribed to this channel if you are enjoying these books and these templates. Okay, thanks so much, you guys. I will see you in the next video. So here is what the template looks like. You can head on over to my website, which is linked in the description, and you can print off your free copy of the fire truck template. It should be 5 pages, and before I cut it out, I'm just going to explain what the pieces are for and how many you need. So this cat here, it's going to be a little finger puppet cat. I'm going to cut out 2 copies of that. I'm going to cut out 1 copy each of the outline of the fireman, 1 copy for his outfit. I'm going to cut out 2 copies of his hat and this little yellow fire symbol I'm just going to glue on the front of his hat. These are the windows for the fire truck. I'm just going to cut out 1 each of these. 1 piece of this. This will go on the fire truck as well. And I think I'm going to do 4 copies of these pieces here. These will create the lift of the fire truck. And then on this page here, these 3 pieces form the fire. So I'm going to cut out a few copies of each of these because I want to make it look like there's a few different spots that are on fire. I'm going to do 2 copies of these. This is the little box that is going to be attached at the end of the lift for the fireman to sit inside of and be raised up to the top of the window. These are all the windows, and here are the trims of the windows. So I'm going to do 2 windows, so I need 2 copies of each of the windows, this blue piece and this white piece. I'm going to do 2 of those. This is for the wheel, this black and white piece. You need 2 of those. This is a ladder here. You need 1 or 2. I think I might cut out 2 copies. I might just do 1, depending on how thick my felt is. These trees, I'm just going to do 1 copy of each of the trees. And there is the other page for the trees. So 1 copy of each of those. And then the way I'm making the page, I'm just going to do 1 copy of the fire truck. I'm going to sew my fire truck right onto my page, or you can use hot glue. So I'm just going to do 1 copy of the fire truck. Here is the fire truck activity page all put together. Let me start with this side and I will explain what I did. I'm going to start with the fireman finger puppet. So you can see that I have put that together. The back I just sewed all along the outer edge. But you don't have to sew. You can use hot glue if you want to. Just put a thin line all the way around the edge, and of course leave the bottom part open so that your child can get their finger in there. And then I just glued on the shirt that's in the template. I chose an orange color instead of a red, and then I just cut out these thin strips of red felt to put around the collar and the sides and the stomach and on the legs and the bottom of the legs to make it look complete. And then you can see I have the little yellow fire symbol on the hat. Now with the hat, originally I wanted it so that the hat could be removable, but I found that it just kept falling off, so I ended up just gluing the hat on the inside to the head, and then I just used a marker to draw on the face. And then the next thing I'm going to show is you can see that I have 2 sets of these lift pieces cut out, and I actually use these little clips that I have. If you don't have those clips, you can just use what I used here, which is the brad pins. They're those little pins that fold out. So I put mine right through one end and right through the page, and then I folded it and glued it down on the back side of the page, which you can't see because I've already sewn the back on, but it's folded on the other side of this sheet of felt, and I put some hot glue on there. So if you don't have any of these types of clips, I just like this clip because I like it's kind of magnetic and I like the sound that it makes when it clips. And also it allows for it to rotate. But if you don't want to buy those types of clips, then you can just use the brad pins because that will still allow the lift to rotate in every direction. And you can see I use the brad pin here as well. And for each of these pieces, like I mentioned before, it is 2 pieces of felt hot glued together. And so I just used on the end of my scissors to dig a hole right in here, and then to dig a hole through the first layer of this little bucket here. And so on the inside, you can't see it, but I folded out the brad pin on the inside so that you cannot see it on the outer edge. And then I just hot glued the edges of this bucket and the bottom part together, leaving the top part open so that the finger puppet fireman can go inside and be lifted up to the windows and up over to the trees. And this can rotate in every direction. In terms of the fire truck itself, I attached it right to the page, so I sewed along the sides and the bottom, but again, you can just use hot glue. Hot glue works just as well, and it's just as strong, if not even stronger than sewing. And I left this top part open, and I just glued on my ladder. I glued that right on, and I took a marker and just drew on some little buttons on that gray piece to kind of make it look like an operation thing. I know that they have those on the sides of fire trucks. I don't know what they're called, but I know they have all sorts of controls on there. And then of course the windows and the wheels. I left the white circles off just because I liked how it looked without the white circles on the wheels. So you can decide if you want to add them. And then of course the windows, again, I sewed the dark blue piece right onto the page. You can hot glue it right down. And then I hot glued all the little windows onto this white piece. And then I just sewed along the side. Again, you don't have to sew, you can use hot glue. Just put a thin line of hot glue along one side, let it dry completely, and then your child will be able to open the window. And I put together 2 fires for the activity. So I wanted to have a fire in each page, or if your child wanted to make it look like the forest over here was on fire, and then pretend to put out the fire in the forest. But I have a piece of Velcro on the back of each fire and then in the window as well. So just a small Velcro self-adhesive dot that I did use hot glue to apply it. You have to use hot glue, otherwise those dots are not strong enough to stay in place, even with it being self-adhesive. The last little detail on this page that I wanted to show is the fire hose. So I just took a piece of suede cord and I dug a hole through the felt and tied a knot on the back of this sheet of felt and put some hot glue on to keep it in place. And then I have 2 pieces of felt I just cut freehand, and I also added some ribbon just hot glued in the middle with the suede cord glued in between as well. So you could use string or a ribbon or suede cord if you have it, and then that acts as the fire hose to put out the fires. And then over on this other page, you can see that I have this background fabric. I just wrapped that around my sheet of felt. And again, you guys know the sheets of felt that I always use for these books are always 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters or 8 inches by 8 inches. So for this side, I just used a plain blue sheet of felt. This side, I did use a piece of felt and I wrapped my fabric around that felt. I don't know if you can see. And then I started to sew, but I left it open at the sides. I have not completed sewing. That's why I have this clip holding it here. I didn't complete it because what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to sew a couple of forest animal buttons underneath the trees or behind the trees, so that when children lift the flaps of the trees, they see some little forest animals sewed on there. So all I did with these is I just sewed the actual branches over and I left the felt loose, and I just cut out 1 copy each of those trees. If you are using hot glue and you wanted to do this, you can just use a light blue sheet of felt and then put a line of hot glue right down the center of each trees and glue them right onto your page, and then glue on the branch and the trunk over top of that to get this exact same look. And finally, we have the classic cat that gets stuck up in the tree. You can see I have sewed around the edges and left the bottom open. I also cut out a little tail freehand. So if you are sewing, you can sew around the edges, or you can just use your hot glue to put all around the edges and leaving a space at the bottom for the finger to fit through. And then the tail also, you can just hot glue onto the inside. And then I just used a marker to draw on the facial features. So when that cat climbs the tree and gets stuck in the tree, the fireman can come and reach over here and pull that cat out of the tree and get him back down to safety. And that's pretty much it for this activity page. I love that I've left the fire truck open at the top because it acts as a pocket to store all of the pieces. And then I've put it together in the form of a little book. And you can create these little books completely with just your felt and your hot glue. You can see that I sew, but you don't need to sew. It's not required. If you want to view the entire video for how I assemble the busy book and make these bind parts here with just your felt and your hot glue, you can check out the video link in the description for how to assemble a busy book. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this activity. I hope you have fun making it, and I hope your little ones love playing with it. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel if you are enjoying these activities. Okay, I will see you in my next video. Mwah!